Yamunathiravanachaari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Vishpat Paramams Parivrad Uttara Satar Shri Srimad Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Madhava Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadraman Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru Gauranga and Srila Prabhupada. Little echo, no? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we are fortunate today. We have with us His Grace Varada Krishna Prabhu. So I'd like to just give an introduction for Prabhuji. Prabhuji completed his education from Mysore University. And also he did his management studies in Bharata Institute of Management from Tiruchirappalli. Subsequently, he worked in IT field for 7-8 years. Later on, he decided to dedicate his life fully for Krishna service. He joined Krishna Consciousness Movement in Bangalore. Later on, he was also temple in charge for Kolkata. He's been serving full-time in ISKCON from last 25 years. He's also a president of ISKCON HBR layout, one of the 4 temples in Bangalore. From 2018 onwards, he is also serving as HTMC member. He is a source of inspiration for many devotees in Bangalore and Hyderabad. So we are very fortunate that we have His Grace Varada Krishna Prabhu with us. So we would like to welcome His Grace Varada Krishna Prabhu by once chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
थोड़ा एक और है. Hare Krishna. Okay, fine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Avadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Canto 1, Chapter 5, verse number 13. Atho Mahabhaga Bhavan Amoghadruk. Atho Mahabhaga Bhavan Amoghadruk. Shuchishrava Satyarato Dhritavrataha. Shuchishrava Satyarato Dhritavrataha. Urukramasya Khilabhanda Muktaye. Urukramasya Khilabhanda Muktaye. Samadhinanusmaratad Vicheshtitam. samadhinanusmara tadvicheshtitam ato mahabhaga bhavanamogadrik ato mahabhaga bhavanamogadrik Shuchishrava satyarato dhritavratah Shuchishrava satyarato dhritavratah Urukramasya khilabhanda muktaye Urukramasya khilabhanda muktaye Samadhinanusmara tadvicheshtitam Samadhinanusmara tadvicheshtitam Atho, therefore, Mahabhaga, highly fortunate, Bhavan, yourself, Amogadrik, the perfect seer, Shuchi, the spotless, Shavaha, famous, Satyarata, having taken the vow of truthfulness, Dhrita Vrataha, fixed in spiritual qualities, Urukramasya, of one who performs supernatural activities, God, Akhila, universal, Bandha, bondage, Muktaye, for liberation from Samadhina, by trance, Anusmara, think repeatedly and describe them, Tat Vicheshtitam, various pastimes of the Lord. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. O Vyasadeva, your vision is completely perfect. Your good fame is spotless. You are firm in your vow and situated in truthfulness. And thus you can think of the pastimes of the Lord in trance for the liberation of the people in general from all material bondage. Purport. People in general have a taste for literatures by instinct. They want to hear and read from the authorities something about the unknown, but their taste is exploited by unfortunate literatures which are full of subject matter for satisfaction of the material senses. Such literatures contain different kinds of mundane poems and philosophical speculations, more or less under the influence of Maya. Ending in sense gratification, these literatures, although worthless in the true sense of the term, are variously decorated to attract the attention of less intelligent men. Thus, the attracted living entities are more and more entangled in material bondage, without hope of liberation for thousands and thousands of generations. Sri Narada Rishi, being the best amongst the Vaishnavas, is compassionate towards the unfortunate victims of worthless literature, and thus he advises Sri Vyasadeva to compose transcendental literature which is not only attractive but can also actually bring liberation from all kinds of bondage. Srila Vyasadeva or his representatives are qualified because they are rightly trained to see things in true perspective. Srila Vyasadeva and his representatives are pure in thought due to their spiritual enlightenment, fixed in their vows due to their devotional service, and determined to deliver the fallen souls rotting in material activities. The fallen souls are very eager to receive novel information every day. And the transcendentalists like Vyasadeva or Narada can supply such eager people in general with unlimited news from the spiritual world. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the material world is only a part of the whole creation, and that this earth is only a fragment of the whole material world. There are thousands and thousands of literary men all over the world, and they have created many, many thousands of literary works for the information of people in general for thousands and thousands of years. Unfortunately, none of them have brought about peace and tranquility on the earth. This is due to a spiritual vacuum in those literatures. Therefore, the Vedic literatures, especially the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, are specifically recommended to the suffering humanity to bring about the desired effect of liberation from the pangs of material civilization, which is eating the vital part of human energy. The Bhagavad Gita is the spoken message of the Lord Himself, recorded by Vyasadeva, and the Srimad Bhagavatam is the transcendental narration of the activities of the same Lord Krishna, which alone can satisfy the hankering desires of the living being for eternal peace and liberation from miseries. Srimad Bhagavatam, therefore, is meant for all living beings all over the universe for total liberation from all kinds of material bondage. Such transcendental narrations of the pastimes of the Lord can be described only by liberated souls like Vyasadeva and his bona fide representatives who are completely merged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Only to such devotees do the pastimes of the Lord and their transcendental nature become automatically manifest by the dint of devotional service. No one else can either know or describe the acts of the Lord, even if they speculate on the subject for many, many years. The descriptions of the Bhagavatam are so precise and accurate that whatever has been predicted in this great literature about 5,000 years ago is now exactly happening. Therefore, the vision of the author comprehends past, present and future. Such liberated persons as Vyasadeva are perfect not only by the power of the vision and wisdom, but also in oral reception, in thinking, feeling and all other sense activities. A liberated person possesses perfect senses, and perfect senses only can serve the sense proprietor Hrishikesha, Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. Srimad Bhagavatam is therefore is the perfect description of all perfect personality of Godhead by the all perfect personality Sri Vyasadeva, the compiler of the Vedas. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Akshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Krupa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Please repeat after me. O Vyasadeva, your vision is completely perfect. Your good fame is spotless. Your firm in vow and situated in truthfulness. And thus you can think of the pastimes of the Lord in trance for the liberation of people in general from all material bondage. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Deenataharinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for having me over at your temple. This is some kind of a miracle temple. This just got completed in a record time. I guess a year or so from the time it started. 9 months. This is really an amazing temple project. Somehow I was involved from from the time this project was being discussed. I'm truly amazed at how quickly it manifested. And today it's fully functional temple. So I want to congratulate all the devotees who are involved in this project at various points of time. Primarily want to congratulate Sitaram Prabhu, Srivas Prabhu, and of course the Mahendra Vijayvargiya family. So we don't know what other miracles will happen in the times to come in this golden age of Lord Chaitanya. Because it is predicted that from the time of appearance of Lord Chaitanya for 10,000 years is a golden period. So we are finding that practically, at least in India, we are finding that there seems to be a tremendous amount of energy, enthusiasm, and different projects seem to be manifesting all over the country. Because I sometimes sit in these divisional council meetings, we never imagined that in a state of Kerala, we'll get projects, we'll do temples. We already have one in Trivandrum. Just now we passed a vote to acquire some land in Kochi, Ernakulam. A couple of weeks back, we passed a vote to acquire some land south of Trivandrum, someplace, I forget the name. So there also, so something that was thought to be completely difficult, impossible, we seem to be making breakthroughs. It's like in India at least, Kerala is like considered as the last bastion, impregnable last bastion. But even Kerala is succumbing to the charms of Lord Chaitanya and the Sankirtan movement. So that was also pretty interesting. Then right now we are in the final stages of processing a land donation right here in Telangana, Sirsilla. So Krishna willing, Lord Jagannath willing, we may get that also. So suddenly there's some kind of a boom time for ISKCON because of the causeless mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Guru Parampara and the efforts of all young devotees like you. You're putting so much hard work, energy, Sankirtan, book distribution, Kirtan, Prasadam distribution, taking care of these temples, going out on the bus and so on. So many incredible things seem to be happening, at least in India, but I guess sooner or later this will also bring some cascading effects in different parts of the world. Favorable cascading influence will be there, whatever happens in India. Generally ricochets in different parts of the world. I recently met some devotees from Bangladesh. They were also talking about Shri Radha Madhava, Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadramai, Shri Gaurnitai Ki Jai. They were also talking about how even in Bangladesh there is this huge growth they're seeing, especially among the youth also. They seem to be having many programs in universities and colleges and so many young people taking so much interest in becoming a part of this movement. So, in one sense, we all owe our origin to one of our principal scripture is Srimad Bhagavatam of this movement. And today we are discussing the shloka where it is being spoken about as to how did Srimad Bhagavatam come about. Because Lord Chaitanya declared that this is one of the principal scriptures for practicing devotees of the Sankirtan movement, Srimad Bhagavatam. So today we are seeing the background behind how Srimad Bhagavatam came to be compiled. And there's a very profound and very revolutionary instructions being given by Narada Muni to Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva We all know the background. He compiled the Mahabharata, an amazing work, Mahabharata. But somehow it is said that even after compiling this great book called Mahabharata, Vyasadeva was not fully satisfied. So like any disciple, like any sincere disciple, he approaches his spiritual master Narada Muni and says, I'm very puzzled, though I have composed such a great literature called the Mahabharata, which presents many things, history, philosophy, bhakti, everything is there. What is not there? Family, drama, this one, that one, suspense, thrill, war, everything is there. Practically everything is there in the Mahabharata. So I presented this literature, and I really thought it would be a culmination of my whatever spiritual endeavors. But I find that even after compiling Mahabharata, there is so much feeling of inadequacy in me. I feel that I missed something. I missed out something. Though I'm not able to put a finger and say exactly what I missed out, but definitely I feel I missed out something. So he approaches his Guru Narada Muni, and though Vyasadeva is an empowered incarnation of the Lord, we can see the humility with which, helplessness and humility with which he approaches Narada Muni. That's also a good lesson that we can learn. He approaches Narada Muni and says that he glorifies Narada Muni, like every disciple is supposed to glorify his Guru. He glorifies Narada Muni and says that you're as good as the Supreme Lord yourself. You're as good as the Supreme Lord. You have, because of your proximity with the Supreme Lord, you're as good as the Supreme Lord, and there's nothing that you don't know. Everything you know. And by nature, you're very kind and compassionate. So will you kindly, compassionately show some compassionate glance upon me and let me know where did I go wrong? What did I miss? Where did I miss the bus, in a sense of speaking? What went wrong? Why am I feeling so inadequate, even after compiling Mahabharata? And by the way, Mahabharata is a scripture which has the Bhagavad Gita within it, embedded within it. But nevertheless, Vyasadeva feels that something went wrong. Somewhere he missed it. So then Narada Muni is very pleased with the approach of Vyasadeva, his humility, and the very fact that he has approached his Guru and sought a remedy. And Narada Muni straight away comes to the point, and then he instructs Vyasadeva and says that you're spotless in your character, you're very firm in your vows, you're very truthful, you're a gentleman, you're very pure, everything is nice about you. But the problem with Mahabharata or literature of that nature is that directly, may not be, but indirectly, there is a subtle encouragement to be, what is the right word? To indulge in, shall I say, scripturally permitted sense gratification. There's a subtle encouragement, number one. The second problem with literature like Mahabharata is that it is not exclusively dedicated to glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead's divine qualities. It is not exclusively devoted. It is one of the topics of the Mahabharata. Among the many topics of the Mahabharata, one of the topics is glorification of the Supreme Lord. In the Mahabharata. Though, of course, he has presented Krishna as the Supreme Personality, but is there exclusive focus on the transcendental, all-attractive qualities and nature of the Supreme Lord? The answer is no. Mahabharata does not focus, nor is it a primary subject matter of the Mahabharata. The primary subject matter of Mahabharata seems to be the importance of adherence to dharma, for instance. the whole climax, Kurukshetra war, is portrayed as a battle between dharma and adharma. So, if you want to say what is the central theme of the Mahabharata, then you could well say, somebody could well say, the central theme of the Mahabharata is that it is a struggle between dharma and adharma. They will probably not say that it is a struggle between the devotees and those who are not devotees. Rather, they would rather say it's a struggle between dharma and adharma. But yes, they will also say Krishna is an important character in the Mahabharata, no doubt. They will also probably say he is a Sutradhara. But that's about how far they will go about Krishna in Mahabharata. He is a Sutradhara, he is a Supreme Lord, no doubt. But is there exclusive focus on who Krishna is, what he is, what he stands for, and say, for example, exclusive focus on bhakti? The answer is, well, you have to pull that out of the Mahabharata. It does not directly, it is not the primary subject matter of the Mahabharata. It is a secondary subject matter. It is a concealed subject matter of the Mahabharata. So Narada Muni straight away tells him that because you did not utilize this opportunity, though you are a great poet, you are a great visionary, it's mentioned here that whatever is mentioned in the Mahabharata, or for that matter the Srimad Bhagavatam, is come to pass now. In other words, it's becoming a reality. So that means Vyasadeva had a vision for the future and so on. So though all that can be said in favor of the Mahabharata, the fact is that it is not an exclusive delineation of the divine, transcendental, all-attractive personality known as Krishna. We are not even talking about Vishnu, we are not talking about the other incarnation of the Lord, we are talking about Krishna, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Narada Muni says that this literature is lacking in that one aspect, that it does not directly glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And hence, it does not glorify the culture of exclusive devotion to Krishna also, because there is no sufficient glorification of Krishna. Corollary to that is there is no glorification of the path of exclusive devotion to Krishna, ahaituki devotion to Krishna. Both are missing. Both are missing. Yes, maybe you can pull out such an understanding by scrutinizingly studying the Bhagavad Gita, for instance, 12th chapter, you can pull it out. But is that the prominent theme of the Bhagavad Gita? No, of the Mahabharata? The answer is not right, not quite really the prominent theme. So Narada Muni is saying, because these two aspects are not there, description of the Supreme Lord, glories of the Supreme Lord, 2-3 aspects such as, and then the culture of exclusive, unconditional, loving devotional service to the Lord, you are not spoken about it. This literature is incomplete. Actually, Narada Muni goes on to say that we could also say that this literature, Mahabharata, in some manner of speaking, probably can mislead. So what do we mean by mislead? See, we have to understand that from Narada Muni's standpoint of view, if someone is not being taught about ahaituki bhakti and the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the divine, all-attractive glories and the qualities and the nature and the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, if he is not being taught, and corollary to that, if he is not being taught about the glories of ahaituki bhakti, unconditional devotional service, from Narada Muni's perspective, he will consider such a literature as being, what is the right word? Yes, misleading, or some kind of a incomplete or imperfect composition. Imperfect composition. Because it's not speaking about exclusive devotion to Krishna. It's not speaking about the glories of Krishna. So from Narada Muni's perspective, though whatever is mentioned in the Mahabharata may be within the framework of dharma, how to enjoy this material world, within the framework of dharma, Narada Muni will consider that is where the risk is, because Narada Muni clarifies and says, a license to indulge in sense gratification, even within the framework of dharma, is a big risk for the people of Kali Yuga. Or for that matter, maybe even in other ages also, but definitely for the people of Kali Yuga. A license to indulge in sense gratification, permissible sense gratification within the framework of dharma is dangerous. Because Narada Muni explains to Vyasadeva that sooner or later they will forget about the restrictions, or they will find workarounds. They will find workarounds to, what is the right word? To bypass or to ignore these restrictions. And there is a risk that such society can become completely immersed in sense gratification. So Narada Muni says, there is an urgent need to correct this situation. You can't let it stay this way. Mahabharata cannot be the all-conclusive final word on bhakti or on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mahabharata cannot be. And it should not be. For the reason that it does not contain glorification of the Lord, nor does it contain glorification of this ahetuki bhakti. And it is permitting sense gratification within the framework of dharma. Now, sense gratification permitted within the framework of dharma, it may cascade into a whole, unrestricted sense gratification, eventually. That is the fear Narada Muni has. So Narada Muni tells Vyasadeva, think about it. Think about it. And then he also offers his blessing. He tells Vyasadeva that you are empowered. If there's anybody who right now is qualified to write, it is you. So you have to take up this divine task. So hence, after receiving the course correction from his guru, Narada, it is said that Vyasadeva embarked upon composing the Srimad Bhagavatam. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is considered to be the ripened fruit of, composed in the maturity of, what can we say, in his maturity, Vyasadeva's maturity. But it's not just a masterpiece from Vyasadeva's personal perspective, but it is also the most definitive, conclusive literature presenting the mood and spirit of the entire Vedic literatures. Not just, it cannot be just considered as a masterpiece from Vyasadeva from perspective of what all he has written. It is definitive, conclusive, supreme conclusions of the entire Vedic literature are contained within the Srimad Bhagavatam. Contained within the Srimad Bhagavatam. And the origin of this Srimad Bhagavatam is this conversation between Narada and Vyasa. Narada Muni, in a sense, chastising Vyasadeva, and Vyasadeva being honest enough to go and admit to his guru that I'm feeling this sense of inadequacy. So there are many lessons to be learned from this, so that we cannot, there is no hope for any, shall I say, any type of compromise or adjustments in the philosophy of ahetuki bhakti. There is no scope for that. Oh no, this we can do, we can try, it's okay, we can be like this, it's okay, we can do that, it's also allowed, Mahabharata allows. No, there is no. So much so that the whole, in one sense we can say Srimad Bhagavatam is the culmination, or it takes forward whatever ideas which are loosely mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita or or in the Mahabharata. It takes it to its ultimate perfection. Ultimate perfection is achieved in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So much so that Bhagavatam by itself, Srila Prabhupada says, if it is properly read and understood, will create a revolution in human mind and approach to life. Because the Bhagavatam will it just shuts out this whole thing about permissible levels of sense gratification. Even that idea is condemned. That idea is completely condemned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Ahaituki apratihata. Uninterrupted, unmotivated, dedicated, selfless service to the Supreme Lord. So where is the scope for sense gratification of any type? Life is meant to live like that. This is all the Bhagavatam says. Now, you want to make adjustments and this and that, that's up to you. You can, the Bhagavatam does not really give so much of a scope for that. It's of course, Prabhupada was very compassionate. He came up with this whole Varnashrama framework. But we have to understand that even within the Varnashrama framework, it is not meant to be end in itself, or a goal or an end in itself. Even Varnashrama framework as given by Srila Prabhupada, Daivi Varnashrama system, also demands that there is spiritual evolution or progress. It's not that, okay, I'm born Kshatriya or I am a Kshatriya and so I'll remain like that. No, that is not the mood of Daivi Varnashrama. You may be like that, but you have to, the book that you will read, even in Daivi Varnashrama, is Srimad Bhagavatam. And what kind of examples the Srimad Bhagavatam has, they cause a revolution, definitely. Like, for example, we were reading in the Abbot's Temple 2 days back, in the 4th canto, 13th chapter, I guess. So there is a story of Dhruva Maharaj's son. I'm just missing his name, Utkala or something. It's Dhruva Maharaj's son. So after Dhruva Maharaj is gone back to the spiritual world, it becomes his responsibility to take care of the kingdom. But sometimes they use this phrase in English, chip of the old block. That means, Dhruva Maharaj's son is also a bit like Dhruva. So he's also completely in a different mood. He doesn't want to become the king. So it is said that this son of Dhruva Maharaj also starts behaving in a very eccentric, erratic manner. Very, very eccentric manner. Because he gets scared. He says, I'm not interested in becoming a king. I have better things to do. I want to chant Hare Krishna, go to the forest, maybe become a brahmachari. Whatever, I have better things to do in life than becoming a king. So it is said that he suddenly starts behaving in an extremely erratic way, eccentric way. So much so that people around him start doubting him and start thinking that what happened to him suddenly? He was all right. Till yesterday everything was okay. Now suddenly, after Dhruva Maharaj got liberated and this whole talk started that he should become the king, he's acting in a very strange manner. So it is said that he continued to act in such a way until all the people who were advisors, maybe the ministers or the brahmanas and the others got together and decided that we should not make him the king. He's not qualified. No, he's very dangerous. Better not make him the king. Maybe we'll make his brother or something, someone else. Maybe it was his brother or something. So he acts in such a manner until he is removed from whatever. They had shortlisted him to become the king. They said, no, you're no longer in the shortlist. So he becomes very happy and then quietly before they change their mind, he retires and goes to the forest. Goes away, like that. So, this is the example we read in the Bhagavatam. So how can a Kshatriya continue to be, he can't be like that. When he stares at this example, he has to react to it. And by the way, Bhagavatam is Krishna himself. Bhagavatam is not some ordinary literature. It's Krishna. That is also confirmed in the Bhagavatam. It is said that by the mercy of Narada Muni upon Vyasadeva, Vyasadeva became so empowered and chosen for this divine mission that what he composed, the Srimad Bhagavatam, is considered to be non-different from Krishna himself. So when someone reads the Srimad Bhagavatam according to the Guru Parampara system, reads, hears, understands in the Guru Parampara system, it actually touches his heart. It makes him ask different questions to himself. What am I doing here? Look at this person, he ran away to the forest. How can I be like this? I should also think what I am doing with my life, something like that. So Bhagavatam is filled with examples of this nature. There's another example also, but of course that's from the Ramayana. A similar situation. There was a king called Asamanjasa. He was a predecessor of Lord Rama. I think he was the son of King Sagara or something. His name was Asamanjasa. So at some point of time, his father decides that he's going to retire and go to the forest and do Vanaprastha, think of the Supreme Lord Vishnu, and then like that. So there is this talk that Asamanjasa should become the king after the father retires. So Asamanjasa also becomes very disturbed. He says, who wants to take this responsibility? I am leading a blissful life in the ashram, under a guru, reading, chanting, this and that, and why get into politics? Waste my life. That anybody can do. I don't want to do it. So it said that more or less similar to how Dhruva Maharaj's son behaved, he also started behaving in an extremely erratic manner. So it is said that he started punishing people very, very quickly. Someone doesn't have patent riding. I just give you an example. So 20,000 rupee fine, something like some crazy things like this he does. Real weird, crazy things like this. Some child doesn't complete the homework, goes to the school, he'll make him stand upside down for half day. Like weird things he starts doing. Until they start concluding, they start getting doubts. Something is wrong with this person. Imagine if we make him the king, what will happen? What will be the fate of all people? So he goes on like this, and finally, it comes to a point his father disowns him. He says, you're no longer my son, something has gone wrong with you. You better banishes him from the kingdom. You go to the forest or something. He becomes very happy. Mission accomplished. Mission impossible, mission accomplished. I'm going. That's how he goes. So these are the examples in our scripture. These are the examples that come in front of us every now and then if we sincerely study the scripture. That life is meant for dedicating in the service of Guru and Krishna. Follow. Life is not meant for either sense gratification or accumulating assets or whatever. Those things are no scope for that in the life of a devotee. The life of a devotee is one of sacrifice, one of austerity, one of sacrifice, one of taking up challenges in the service of his Guru. Life of a devotee is one of compassion. Life of a devotee is one of determination. Life of a devotee is one of purity. Life of a devotee is one of bliss and happiness also. Because we are doing all the other things correctly. Because we are doing all the other things correctly. Life of a devotee is meant to study, apply, understand, apply the teachings of the Srimad Bhagavatam. A life of a Gaudiya Vaishnava devotee is meant for this. Study, understand, apply the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the life of a devotee, is to understand the different levels of surrender and practice it. Life of a devotee is in giving, always giving his time, energy, intelligence, everything to the mission of his Guru. This is the standard that Srimad Bhagavatam speaks about. Undoubtedly, this is what Bhagavatam is speaking about. Where is the scope for either sense gratification? Actually, for that matter, there is no, in the Bhagavatam scheme of things, there is no scope for a person even to, I mean to say, if you go strictly according to what is recommended, even people who enter the Varnashrama system have to do it with great caution, so that they don't become entangled in whatever they're doing. They always remember a higher destination, higher purpose, and a higher goal of life. This is what the Bhagavatam demands. This is the standard of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And hence it's considered a unique literature which manifested by the mercy of Narada Muni on Vyasadeva. Manifested because of the mercy of Narada Muni. What shall we say, the Guru Parampara on Vyasadeva. We don't so much read about how Vyasadeva reacted after he composed Srimad Bhagavatam, but obviously he must have been in ecstasy after he composed Srimad Bhagavatam, compared to how despondent he was feeling before he had compiled Srimad Bhagavatam. Actually, this is very interesting in the sense that if you were to compare and contrast certain incidents that are documented in the Mahabharata, but how the perspective with which they are presented is very different in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Say, for example, Dhritarashtra quitting home. It has a different flavor when you read it in the Mahabharata. But it has a completely spiritual, strong spiritual flavor when you read it in the Srimad Bhagavatam. How Vidura goes and chastises Dhritarashtra. That's not so much highlighted in the Mahabharata. Actually, Mahabharata deals with that incident in two contrasting ways. It said that Dhritarashtra very publicly kind of went into the forest and he was sent off in a very grand way, etc. But here in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the whole presentation is quite different. That Vidura was primary. In fact, that Vidura came back to liberate his brother. Came back from his pilgrimage just to liberate his brother. He says, okay, let me try one last time, one last shot at trying to liberate, trying to put some, something, let me do something for Dhritarashtra. Otherwise, imagine what will be his fate for the sins that he has done or whatever. So Vidura comes back only to liberate Dhritarashtra. And for that matter, in the Mahabharata, there's no such thing as Kunti's prayers. But Srimad Bhagavatam, Kunti's prayers are there. So the same history, Vyasadeva, he looks at it and writes it from a different perspective. Kunti's prayers are some of the most important prayers in the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. There's no such mention, Kunti offering prayers, not so much if you read the original Mahabharata. So the same thing, he presents it in an extremely, surcharged manner, showcasing bhakti, showcasing the qualities of the devotees also, as well as the Supreme Lord also. In this case, he showcases the qualities of Kunti also. What a great devotee she was. And then, of course, of the Supreme Lord as well, Kunti's Stava. So there's completely different perspectives of the same history as narrated by Vyasadeva, the same author. But the only thing that happened in between is he met his guru. Between Srimad Bhagavatam and Mahabharata, he met his guru, and guru changed his perspective. But that's the responsibility or the power of, shall we say, the role and duty of a guru, a bona fide acharya of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara, is to bring about a culture of, like I mentioned to you, sacrifice, austerity, purity in the life of a disciple, dedication, sincerity, humility, dependence, surrender in the life of a disciple. And that's what Narada Muni does. And that's what an acharya is meant to do. So that is the perspective of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And thanks, and we are all grateful that Narada Muni intervened in the life of Vyasadeva, and as a result of which today we are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any questions devotees would like to ask?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thanks for my wonderful class. I don't know whether I can ask this question here in this place. Because whenever we say ISKCON Bangalore means suddenly some flashes comes in our mind because there are other group of ISKCONs also there. In fact, I met somewhere in the flights some devotee I was interacting, suddenly come to know, then I have reduced my interaction with him. What sort of guidelines you can give us, any such things happens,
You mean if you meet people from the Ritvik camp, how you should behave? See, over the years, many
Prabhu,
people...
First, initially we may not be knowing who is from which ISKCON something.
Pardon me?
Initially we may not be knowing he is from which ISKCON maybe something, So from there you can...
Yeah. See, over the years we have seen that many devotees who were previously with the Ritvik camp have slowly come back to ISKCON, mainstream ISKCON. Many. Recently also some people have come. Right now ISKCON Hyderabad is dealing with one very senior person who is wanting to join our mainstream ISKCON. Very senior person. We are working out details. I can't share his name right now. So over the years we have seen many people change from there, many sincere devotees. But that is not to say that everybody who is there is not sincere. They are also sincere in their own particular way. They probably have been misguided, they've been misled. They don't have the courage. They also probably have some doubts about Guru system. It's not wrong to have some doubts about the Guru system in ISKCON or Gaudiya Maths or something. But we are very clear that what we are doing is right. We follow the GBC, there is the Diksha Guru Parampara. Prabhupada is a preeminent, most prominent Shiksha Acharya. We are very clear about it. So if they are interested philosophically, we can talk to them without offending them, without blaspheming them, without fighting with them. We can invite them to visit our temples, meet people like Bhanu Swami, Japataka Swami, other senior leaders, understand, and leave it. They should have a favorable impression of meeting the devotees. Because I am from ISKCON Bangalore, I served there, I know that one of the things that ISKCON Bangalore, the Ritvik camp does is, they paint all the ISKCON mainstream devotees as some type of a fanatic Guruvadi, aggressive fanatic Guruvadis, and very dull-headed spiritually and so on, whatever different things they do. So we should appear as different from how they portray. We should be friendly, we should be understanding, we should be kind, we should be very welcoming. Who knows? He may also, that person also may walk into our temple someday, may want to join. Few people joined Juhu recently, few people joined Mayapur recently. I'm devotees who are coming out of that temple and joining in Bangalore. The discussions are going on. They went to Mayapur, they came back. Like that, many of them are coming back. Will all of them come back? I don't know. That only time can say. Because sometimes Kali has its own plans to destabilize spiritual movements. But the safest thing is not to fight with them, quarrel with them, argue with them and ridicule them or make them feel insulted or humiliated. So then even if there's 1% chance that they come back to us, that will be gone. So we have followed that formula. It has worked for us. Sometimes in the case of some devotees, we had to spend 3 to 4 years repeatedly meeting, giving them clarifications, etc. And then they come back to us. Sometimes it takes that much time to detoxify and remove the contamination of Ritvik. Because underlying the Ritvik philosophy is envy towards gurus. Oh, why he is enjoying, like that. So there is envy. Envy is very difficult to deal with, unless they have the mercy of the Vaishnavas and Krishna. So that's all I can say, because I don't have any doubt that more and more of them will come back. It's happening. I can't think of one person who has gone from our side to them philosophically. Not even one, but steadily they're making devotees and many of them are coming back. Like that, okay? Any other question?
Hare Krishna, thank you very much, Prabhuji, for your class. You were quoting the example of Dhruva Maharaja's son and Asamanjasa. So even in ISKCON also, those who are into management, like they'll be very much occupied with so many things, so many activities, and fail to join in all kirtans and many of the temple activities. So it's better not to be a good. Some people are very good managers and they manage well, but really they will pay the tax for that. Like they will miss out the programs, even though they are not willing to miss because of the management. So is it good to be good managers or not, Prabhuji?
You're asking a manager, what will he say? You see, people have natures. They are, according to modes of nature, they have different qualities. I don't know, from about the first day that I joined ISKCON, the first day that I joined as a full-time devotee, they sent me out on book distribution. I was always, and after that, within 3 months, they sent me out on fundraising for the big temple Bangalore project. No, I'm not complaining. I was under Madhu Pandit, I'm not complaining. I'm quite okay with that. So according to one's nature, one will join. But see, we have to understand one thing. While all that we do, even from cooking to management to fundraising to, if it is done with the right consciousness as an offering to the deities and the Guru Parampara, in one sense, all activities are absolute. They're as pleasing to Krishna as anything else. Equally pleasing to Krishna. Like when Lord Rama went to Sri Lanka, so he had people who were planning, he had people who were commanders, he had people who were ordinary foot soldiers, he had people who were doing medical services, he had people who were engineers, who built the bridge. He had all kinds of people and all kinds of services were involved. And everybody was rewarded for the service. See, actually we should understand that it is our sincerity, dedication, spirit of cooperation, and our willingness to offer everything unconditionally to Guru Parampara, to the deities, and to maintain an attitude of flexibility in our heart. That means, okay, today I may be a manager, tomorrow if your Guru decides that, hey, listen, I want you to do some other service elsewhere, start a new project, or something like that, we have to maintain an attitude of flexibility in front of our Guru. Because practically speaking, all services are absolute, but we have to also understand that they, according to our nature and capability, we tend to get engaged. According to our nature and capability, we get that kind of an engagement. And the principle is, whatever I am doing, I want to see that my Guru is pleased, the Vaishnavas around with whom I am serving are satisfied. I don't become a big headache for them, big management challenge for them. How do we deal with this person? At the smallest thing, he will pick up a huge fight. I don't become a big headache and anxiety for the devotees and the managers. If that is the overall approach that we have, we will be rewarded. We will definitely be rewarded for that kind of an attitude. It is a fact that people will have different tastes in service, and accordingly they will be engaged. Like I was just reading a commentary on Ramayana. It is mentioned that they were just doing an analysis between the personality of Bharata and Lakshmana. It is said that Bharata was in the mood of Vani Seva because he was into this thing about executing the instructions of Lord Rama. Lord Rama said, go and rule. Yes. He didn't like it though. He was into the Vani Seva mood. You be there, rule the kingdom for 14 years, take care of this, yes. But he said that Lakshmana was more into Vapu Seva. Lord Rama tried his best to keep him back in Ayodhya, but he wouldn't accept. And then it's after they came back, after defeat of Ravana, it is said that Lord Rama, in the Ramayana it's mentioned that Lord Rama tries his best to convince Lakshmana to become the Prince Regent, or the, Crown Prince. After him, Lakshmana becomes the king. Lakshmana says no. It is said that to the point where he disobeys the command of Lord Rama. But he says, no, I cannot become, I am very happy, please don't disturb me from my consciousness of being your servant. Menial servant, like a shadow following you everywhere and serving you. So then Rama calls Bharata and says, see, you don't do what Lakshmana did, okay? You be, please, don't give me a big anxiety now. So Bharata will say, how can I cause anxiety? I will do whatever you tell me. So straight away you see a huge difference between the two things, the mood of Lakshmana and Bharata. Bharata will say, Lord Rama will command him, you are the crown prince. After me, you will become the king. Bharata will say, if that is what is going to please you, so be it. I will accept. Only if that is what is going to please you. So there is mood, so we have to approach any responsibility with that. Also, we should have the enthusiasm. Here is my chance, here is my opportunity to dedicate myself completely to the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as carried forward by the Guru, Acharya, etc. Yes, there is a huge, complications that come about when one is a manager, having to deal with interpersonal difficulties, rivalry, quarrels, conflicts, complex situations. But if you approach all of that as a representative of the parampara and in the hands of the deities that you're serving, you'll be rewarded. You'll be rewarded for your sacrifice. And you'll be recognized more quickly. A person who is willing to take responsibility to manage his spiritual life and manage others' spiritual life and manage a project, obviously he will be recognized by the Lord also. Okay? Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Thank you very much. I feel very honored that you called me and given me a chance to speak a few words.